everyone, it's Sarah, Painting Creator here. Hope you're having a lovely time and doing whatever you do. So I'm just doing a series of ideas for small paintings really. So they are working on A6 size, so a quarter sheet of an A4 piece of paper. And I'm using, as usual, my Creative Peak watercolour paper. I think this is great for everyday painting and just letting yourself relax into it. And so all I do is I measure it out, cut it up into 4 or 6, depending on how I'm feeling. And painting small and painting loose is a really good way when your energy levels are low or you're just not feeling inspired, and it's a good way of just letting go. And I'm going to use some gel pens and I'm going to use some gouache, and I'm just going to enjoy the space. I might even use a bit of pastel, we'll see. So my paints are squirted. I might squirt them again. They need to be a little bit glistening, and so what I do is I squirt them with my repurposed Febreze bottle, waste not want not. And I also have a small mister spray which is really helpful. I think this was about 20p at a B&M bargain shop. And these are my watercolours, again Cotman series. They're really good. They're student grade watercolours, but they're really good pigments, and they give fabulous colours, and again they're affordable, and you cannot improve unless you put time on the paper and with your brush. It doesn't happen overnight, and there's plenty of paintings that I just throw in the bin because I don't like them, but actually there's plenty that I've held on to from my early days, particularly, that I look back at with fondness now. And I remember the other brushes I use an awful lot are my Meeden mop brushes. They hold a lovely amount of water and therefore paint. And I just like the looseness of them, and that sort of encouragement, I suppose, to just have a go and have a play. So I'm going to do a sort of a cooler evening. So a little bit of cerulean blue. I like cerulean blue. It's a nice colour. And I'm just going to drop a little bit of red light in there. It just greys it down a little bit. Still blue, but goes more of a greyer blue, which is really nice. Oh, sorry, the tractors are out and about round me. And the other colour I'm going to use quite a lot of is indigo. A beautiful colour is indigo. And maybe a hint of turquoise, we will see. But quite a limited palette today. We'll also be using my white gouache or my Dr. Martens. So quite a wet brush, and I'm just going to go in with my indigo. I'm just going to deepen that pigment. So more paint, less water, and I'm just going to put in some sort of gentle hills. And whilst it's wet, I'm just going to take a piece of paper towel on the top of my paint tube, wrap it in the paper towel. Might need a couple of layers. Squeeze it round and I get a circle, and then I can lift off a nice moon. Look at that. How lovely is that for a little bit of a tip? So I'm going to just use my spritzer bottle from a distance and spray into that wash. I'm just going to lift it flat for a little bit of a snow scene, and I'm going to just let that dry. Here we are. I've let it just dry off, and then I've finished it off with a hairdryer. I am going to go back in and splash some little stars and put some stars and gouache and things on, but that is just such a beautiful backdrop. And here, to me, it asks for a bit of trees or something like that. So I'm going in with my smaller mop brush now. I've just wet it, put it back on my little, and I'm just picking up this cerulean blue and light red mix that we had, and I'm just going to drop in some very easy sort of shadow work and movement across. And I'm working light to dark. So I'm now going to mix it in to hear a little bit of this indigo as well. A little bit of water in this indigo. For the nearer ground. I'm just going to soften that off a little bit with a bit of water. And then I'm just going to pick up, I've got some lavender. You could just use some purple and white mixed together if you haven't got lavender, but just to put a little bit of water in the front, just dropping a little bit of indigo into there. So absolutely something and nothing, because I'm going to build up some finer sort of grasses and things along the way. So burnt sienna goes really well with indigo, so that's what I'm going to go for as the other colour. So this is just 3 colours. So I've just got my small brush and I'm just going to start putting some thin reeds, quite watery. Oh, I've got a bit of pink on. I wonder where that's from. That must be from another time when I was working. So I'm trying to sort of harmonise, check the colours. I'm just going to add a tree up here. Mix a little bit of indigo into it. It's too brown. And in a minute I'm going to soften off so this is just burnt sienna and indigo together, but it's a winter tree. And the reason why I'm doing this is I had a bit of a run back here, and it's asking me to add something to, as a bit of a something to look at. Underneath there, I'm just going to go in with that pale blue lavender colour, and I will just use a bit of gouache to highlight it, but that will work fine. And I'm just going to drop in a few little reeds into here as well. So this is just burnt sienna, remember it will dry a little bit lighter, but I'm going wet onto dry, so just working my way along, building up that sort of icy flow. Just dropping a little bit of indigo into the base of those because I thought they got lost. And I really like working like this, basically looking at what you've got and working with it as it develops, rather than just planning everything out. And if you're thinking, oh, I've got too much water on my brush, just control it with a little bit of paper towel. I'm just putting some on this front edge of the painting as well. So it's all just burnt sienna and indigo, building it up, thinking about where I want it to go. Just going to darken using a little bit of indigo. I'm just going to darken that outside of that trunk and this branch here. Some water just to let it smooth its way in. Nice. A little bit of indigo into the base of here, and into the base of these reeds here. Just using the side of my brush. Builds a little bit of depth at the base of wherever your reeds or the bank is. And it's gonna go in lighter, so don't panic if you like there. I think it's a bit blobby, but it'll be fine. Don't panic. So I'm now just going over with a little bit of indigo for some icy tracks. A few sort of darker reeds. Okay, so in with my burnt sienna. I'm just going to start putting some little seed head. I need a bit more water on my brush. So just little details to draw the eye a little bit. It is a stylized view, but it's a nice way of working. Maybe if you know, if you've got a card to send to somebody, or you want to do it on a postcard and send to somebody for a little bit of a I'm thinking of you. Perfect idea. So I'm just going to add some indigo versions. Obviously, if you want them a little bit lighter, just add a little bit of water into the mix. If you want to change them up, just put a little bit of burnt sienna in there. It's your painting, and that's the nice bit. But these little grasses and little bits of features just help. Remember to just breathe. And do as much or as little as you want. I quite like these little grasses. There we go. So one on here. It's got a nice sort of wintry feel. Really nice card if you know that somebody doesn't celebrate Christmas, but you want them to know that you're thinking of them at that time of year. Lovely design. If somebody's got a birthday at that time of year and you're just wanting a simple card, another nice idea to pop onto a card, something similar. Okay, I'm just going to let that dry for a little minute. So I'm going to cover this sort of bottom white bit, and using my gouache, on my smaller mop brush, I've just squeezed some gouache into my palette, clean water, roll my... So this is going to go in, it's going to dull down, but I'm just going to splatter some. I think we've got a few shooting stars there. And then I'm just going to splatter a little bit on here. There we go. I'm very tempted to try and lift that one up because it's mirroring that one nearly. So that was just a clean brush lifted up, but I like the rest. That's really nice. Looks like a real snowstorm. And then whilst it's on, got a blob of water, I don't know where that came from. There you go. I'm just going to go down this side of the tray with a little bit of white. Again, this is going to go darker and in. And then I'm just going to do some grasses. I'm going to make that blob into a... I'm going to lift that up. Didn't quite like that blob. Let's put some grasses into here. So gouache is quite useful. It's just an opaque watercolour, but it's a useful tool to have in your toolbox. It goes a bit more transparent than maybe the Dr. Martens goes, but really nice for doing a little something for this time of year. So I'll give that a dry. That's dry, and so I've just got some of my gel pens, and I'm just going to add some sort of bits of gel pen onto here. Just little accents of gold and white. These are like bulrush reeds. Some bits of gel pen for the... So this gel pen will stay white onto the surface a little bit more. And you can always go in with a little bit of darker, bit of ink at the front. So this is just a 0.3 fine liner ink pen. I quite like them. just take your time to build up that sort of sense of interest. I'm going to darken the side of the tree right down here with my ink. Always a good way of working with ink pens. A little bit on that bank, but that's it. I'm going to leave it there. So let's sign it. I better give it a sign. I'm going to sign it there. Take the paper off, because that's always the nicest, and take your paper, put your paper away from everything. And there we have it, a beautiful little card that will cheer anybody up, but make a really nice sort of wintry scene, all in under half an hour. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you give it a go, and I'll see you soon.